This is the all-new BMW M5. Now you may or may not know that this is no ordinary car. The very peak of BMW performance, it's powered by a 4.4 litre V8 petrol engine that pushes out an astonishing 600 brake horsepower and can take you from standing to 100 kilometers an hour in just 3.4 seconds. Not bad for a four-door family saloon. Apart from the obvious M badging on the front and back, it's got larger air intakes, these massive 20-inch wheels complete with these awesome optional carbon ceramic brakes peeking through. The track is wider, as are the tyres, and it's got bigger wheel arches. Up top you've got a carbon roof for weight saving and to keep that centre of gravity as low as possible. These gills in the wing mirrors to let the air pass through freely when you're racing down the motorway at no more than 100 kilometers an hour, of course. Then around the back you've got no less than 1, 2, 3, 4 exhausts. Bonus points if you manage to spot the extra creasing on the bonnet. The big and slightly controversial news with the new M5 is that it's now all-wheel drive. So no longer a rear-wheel drive drifter's dream, but you can fix that. If you turn the stability control off, the first thing they'll suggest is this M dynamic mode, which doesn't turn it off altogether, it just restricts it for a sportier feel. But if you hold it down for long enough, you can get it off, and that is when it will allow you to switch it to two-wheel drive only. Now BMW do give a slight disclaimer here that basically says, don't do this unless you're on a track or an experienced track driver. Now I am neither of those things, so we must obey. Moving on, there are so many different ways you can configure this car, from the engine to the chassis to the steering, and you can save those settings to two different driver profiles called M1 and M2. So that's what the two little buttons on the steering wheel are for, to allow you to switch between them quickly. At the moment, M1 is set up to stability control on, it's in four-wheel drive. The engine is set to Sport Plus, so it's still nice and loud. Then chassis and steering are in comfort, so this is your around town setup. Then M2 at the moment is set to M dynamic mode, so it's four-wheel drive sport, then engine, chassis and steering are all in sport. So this is the one for when you want to have a bit of fun. It'll also change the view on the head-up display and give you a little rev counter, just to remind you that you're in super sports mode. The cabin itself is not a million miles away from the regular 5 Series, apart from a few little clues around the place, most notably these amazing M Sport seats, which as part of the optional premium package on this one, come with both heating and ventilation and a massage function. But apart from that, it's your pretty typical 5 Series setup. The iDrive system doesn't appear to be any different to the regular car. Now it's still awesome, it still does this, which I will never ever get tired of, and then everything else you need, Bluetooth, sat-nav and wireless key charging. As part of the comfort package on this one, which is unfortunately also optional, you get this touchscreen key, which will not only allow you to lock and unlock the door, it'll also allow you to check your fuel range and set the temperature for your next departure. We're not taking this M5 to the track. Sorry for bringing you this far in the review before breaking that news, but we're not. And even for the majority of M5 owners, track driving is not going to be a regular occurrence. So instead we're going to concentrate on what it's like to live with in real life, which for most people is the day-to-day stuff plus the odd jaunt up a back road, which we can do. And thanks to those handy driver profile settings, it's very easy to do both. Now it does come with lowered sport suspension, naturally enough, but with those M1 settings from earlier with the chassis set to comfort, it really can be quite tame and well behaved. Now you are still constantly aware that you're riding on 20-inch rims, but it really does soften things up nicely and won't scare your kids' friends at the school gates. Then once you've dropped them off, you can flick it into M2. Now these settings are completely customizable, these are just the ones that I have chosen. So in this case, it'll put everything into sport. It will ask you to confirm first if you want to flick the stability control into dynamic, and once you do, you just get this instant surge of power. Everything feels a lot more urgent, the steering weight's up, and you're free to do whatever you want to do, which will remain between you and the mountains. If you want to get that traction back in a hurry, you can do so at the flick of a button and you're in total control again. And that's the thing about the M5. Despite the massive amount of power available, It feels a lot more manageable than I might have thought. Now, it still does feel like I'm only using about 10% of its full potential, but it is a car that does inspire confidence in driving fast, just because you feel so in control and it feels so perfectly engineered to cope with it. MPG, as you might have guessed, isn't great. The official figure is about 30 miles to the gallon, which is about 9.5 litres per 100 kilometres. It doesn't even tell you what you're actually doing on the screen here, but according to the trip computer, it's quite a bit more than that. Now, that will depend hugely, of course, on how you drive it, and if you're looking for something economical, I think you might have clicked on the wrong review. In other slight economic issues, the new M5 has a starting price of €164,000. The options on this one push that to just shy of €197,000. It's a lot of change, that's for sure, but is it worth it? You tell me. Is the M5 the ultimate everyday supercar? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.